mantras, japa, yoga, and bhajans. All these programs are offered to the Light of Self Foundation under the umbrella of Atma Jyoti Vishwa Gurukula. The programs are of interest to all age groups. I lead is one such leadership program, specially designed for children. The Light of Self Foundation is a non-commercial, not-for-profit organization. All the activities are conducted by service-minded volunteers for Atma Jyoti as a Christian society. We hope many people benefit from its offerings. Over to you, Prabhuji.
My pranams to all Atma Jyotis, divine light and self. I am thankful to Ramana Shivoham Center for Learning for giving me this opportunity to speak in front of the august audience. All of us together, let us chant Omkara 3 times and invoke Bhagavan before we start. Let us start Omkara. Om Namo Bhagavate Ramana. People say the world is a Maya, world is an appearance. And many people want to escape from this world of samsara and they want to take a spiritual path. What we don't know is the spiritual path is also a bigger Maya. There are so many varieties of paths, varieties of ways, varieties of teachings. It's a bigger confusion than samsara. The worldly life is much easier. We know exactly what we want. This spiritual life is very tough. We don't know where we are going, what we are going, which path to choose, which path to follow. It's a jungle, it's a forest. It's very easy to get lost in this path. Very easy. Thankfully, we have Bhagavan who appeared on the earth. Dakshinamurti himself appeared in the form of Bhagavan Ramana Shivoham to take us, to show us direct path, free from all confusion, all clutter. Show us the light. Otherwise, world is a Maya, samsara is a Maya, and very challenging is to get into spiritual Maya. Getting lost, where I have to go, what I have to go, what is their relation? It is because of Bhagavan Ramana Shivoham, the straight, the clear path of self-enquiry, free from all clutter, open up. Who is Bhagavan? Who is Ramana Shivoham? Ramana Shivoham stayed in Tiruvannamalai near Arunachala mountain. But we have to understand Arunachala. Aruna means light, early morning dawn. Achala means unmoving, which doesn't move. Ramana Maharshi is the light on the mountain, which is Achala, which doesn't move. What moves is our mind. Mind is chanchala, keeps on moving. When the mind becomes achala, the light on seeing our inner self, Aruna, is Arunachala. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi is our inner self. When our mind becomes still, not moving, achala, chanchala mind becomes achala. Then Arunodaya happens, the dawn happens, dawn of the inner light, and that is Shiva. And Ramana Maharshi is that inner Shiva in all of us. Arunachala, Tiruvannamalai is not a place, it's our consciousness. When the mind becomes still, silent, the light of the self, Atma Jyoti, which shines in us, is Arunachala. Let us chant Arunachala Shiva. Arunachala Shiva. Aruna Shiva. Arunachala Shiva. Arunachala Shiva. Aruna Shiva. Ramana Shivoham. Ramana Shivoham. Ramana Shivoham. We have to have darshan of Ramana Maharshi in us. On the mountain called Arunachala, mind which is still. And who is Ramana Maharshi? Is incarnation of Dakshinamurti. We have heard Dakshinamurti. We have seen the sculpture of Dakshinamurti with many disciples sitting in front of him. He is called Dakshina, means south facing. And he gives the teaching in silence. His presence brings up deep silence in all of us. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, embodiment of the primordial silence, taught the value, depth of silence to the people who came in his presence. But what we don't know is that Ramana Maharshi, Dakshinamurti, is our inner self. Dakshinamurti, in mythological terms, Shiva incarnated, Shiva embodied. He faces Dakshina, means faces south. Because south is the direction of death, Yamadharmaraya. Yamadharmaraya, people who are going into birth and death cycle, they move towards south. Dakshinamurti is looking at south compassionately to see anybody turns their back so that he can face them. That's why he's looking at south. He's south facing. Looking at compassionately people who are running towards death. What is the death? Unarapi jananam, unarapi maranam, unarapi janani, Chatare Shayanam, Yasamsare, Bodhusare, Krapaya Pare, Agi Burare. We go through a repeated cycle of birth and death because of karmic impressions, samskaras, vasanas, and repeatedly we take birth. So that direction is south. Because Yama play, Yamadharma has played is southward. Dakshinamurti looks at them, gives a teaching silence. This is what we call as mythological or Adi-Daivika Dakshinamurti. We have to understand Adhyatmika Dakshinamurti, the inner self. Dakshinamurti, who is none other than our Atma, our inner self. The inner self is looking compassionately at Jiva with love. And the teaching of the inner self is silence. The stillness speaks. The inner guru, Atma, silently watches all our actions, all our thoughts. This comes in Upanishad. Two birds are sitting on a tree. One bird is eating fruits. The fruits is fruit of karma. The other bird is watching. That watchful bird is the Atma, the inner self, the Pakshi. That inner self is Ramana, Bhagavan, our inner self. The Jiva is trying to eat the fruits. The inner self is waiting patiently, paying Dakshina. Here, Dakshina means the Jiva who is continuously going to cycle after cycle of birth and death, Purarapi Jananam, Purarapi Maranam. The Atma, self, Bhagavan, is waiting for the Jiva to return. That's why Atma is the Dakshinamurti, inner self. The Arunachala, our mind. Aruna, the light of self. And Atma, our inner self. Ramana, the word Ramana has a very connotation. In Sanskrit, it's word called Marana, death. Ramana frees us from Marana, the death. The death cycle of birth and death. If you want to get away, break the cycle. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, you have to surrender. You have to discover the inner self, Ramana, to become free from cycle of Marana. All of us know very famous story of Ramana Maharshi going through death experience, Marana. Ramana Maharshi one day was contemplating death. Suddenly his body froze. He had a physical death. In that physical death, the self was shining free from the body. He was established in the primordial self, the true self, in that death experience. So that causes confusion in us. He is Ramana Maharshi. We are ordinary human beings. To go through death experience and get realization is almost impossible for us. To have to die and to get self-realization, it is impossible. The physical death, it doesn't work out for us. For that, Ramana Maharshi, Bhagavan, has a simple solution. You don't have to go through the physical death. all that has to happen is death of the mind. The mind has to die. The death of the mind is called manonasha. Physically, you don't die. Thank God. Right? But the problem is how mind can die. How mind can die to realize the self. Bhagavan shows us the way. Bhagavan gives us the guidelines. How death of the mind can happen. The mind dies when you inquire into the root of the mind. It is the mind which has appeared in the world. It is the mind which has appeared as thoughts. And the mind, root of the mind, is the I thought. By inquiring into the I thought, who am I? You can go to the root. And at the root of I thought, there is no I thought. There is real I. I thought is a pointer. Catch hold of the pointer and go to the pointed. That is the real I. Pure existence. Sadvastu. That's your true nature. Here we cannot catch hold of Sadvastu. We cannot know Sadvastu. Because it's not an object. It's your own real nature. That you can be, you can remind, you can abide in the Sadvastu. You can abide in the true reality. You cannot catch it. The mind is the one which is going outwards, trying to seek happiness. When the mind is introverted, when the self-enquiry is done, who am I? From many thoughts, will come down to one thought, root thought, I thought. And that I thought is no longer there. In Sat, the truth. The truth is self, Atma, the Brahman. So Ramana Maharshi said, Bhagavan told, inquire who you are, who am I? Koham. Then be still. Be still. This is the depth of the mind. When the mind finds its source, there is no mind. Then the question comes, if there is no mind, how do I function in the world? Is it possible to function in the world? The no mind is none other than Atma, pure awareness. So the mind as a separate entity has dissolved. Then what is there is pure awareness, Brahman. The river has merged with the ocean. There's no longer a river, but the ocean is there. The Jivatma has become one with Paramatma. Now to say Jivatma has become one with Paramatma also is not correct, because Jivatma has never been separated with Paramatma. But I had a notion of separation. I had a feeling of separation. That feeling dissolves. The feeling of separation dissolves. The feeling was not real, but still it was troubling me from many, many lifetimes. The feeling of I am separate. I am separate from the world. I am separate from Ishvara, Bhagavan, Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. This separation is a deep-rooted impression in the mind. That dissolves. That's the depth of the mind. It's called manonasha. The manonasha is liberation, jivanmukti. But most of the paths in the world Most of the spiritual systems in the world, they don't have this clarity of the direct path. There are many systems are developed which will give temporary peace. That's called manolaya. Until manonasha happens, ignorance gets destroyed. There's no real freedom. When the manonasha happens, ignorance is destroyed. You are establishing true self. The true self is Bhagavan, Ramana, Dakshinamurti, our innermost self. Until we have a darshan, antardarshana, the inner darshana of Bhagavan, there is no freedom. Darshana means to see is to be. To be the self, the primordial self. Manolaya and manonasha. Immediately after the first death experience, Ramana Maharshi was established in the primordial self. It's not that he had to do some sadhana practices. He was fully established in the primordial self. There's no more steps involved. Then whatever he did is from that center of primordial self, is functioning. He went to Tiruvannamalai, he started meditating in the cave, he sat in the place. So all those things is not for self-realization, but in a state of abiding in the self. It's not that he did some sadhana to abide in the self. But people have a different notion of self-realization, different ways of looking at self-realization. Different conditions are required for self-realization. One day, Ramana Maharshi was in his ashram, Ramana. He was doing darshan. A monk comes and looks at Ramana Maharshi. Bhagavan, he is sitting, he is sometimes sits in silence, sometimes he discusses with the people, sometimes he does the gardening, sometimes he does the cooking. This monk feels that Ramana has fallen in his spiritual journey. He has lost his way. Last time he met him, he was in Virupaksha cave in an intense meditation. Now he is sitting here, mixing with people, doing something gardening, little bit of cooking. So he says, I'm very sorry for you. You lost your way. When I met you last time in Virupaksha cave, I felt you're a great being. What happened to you? Why don't you go back? Then Bhagavan Ramana says, what do you mean go back? Go back to Samadhi. So Ramana Maharshi asks, what do you mean? Should I sit my eyes closed with the mind stopped? Or the concept of Samadhi is sometimes breath stops, the heartbeat stops. Or should I sit in the cave? What is that? The monk who asked this question does not know that Ramana Maharshi is in Sahaja Samadhi, a natural state, the primordial state. Whether he walks or talks or does gardening or cooking, he is never out of the primordial state. He doesn't have to go and come back. He is functioning from a primordial state. Then some Shishas asked, Bhagavan, if you are functioning Sahaja Samadhi, why did you go to Virupaksha cave? What made you go to Virupaksha cave? Ramana Maharshi said. What made you to meditate? Ramana Maharshi said, I didn't meditate. In Virupaksha cave, I sat with my eyes closed. In Ramana Ashrama, I'm sitting with my eyes open. So I'm not doing anything. So that is the state of Jivan Mukta. Nothing to be doing. That Jivan Mukta is established in the primordial state, Sahaja Sthiti, natural state of the stillness, and from that he functions. It does not matter. He acts in the world or he functions in the world. He takes care of some social responsibilities or he interacts with people or he does cooking or gardening. Does not matter. He's unaffected by the primordial state. This is the state of a Jivan Mukta. Yoga Ratova, Bhoga Ratova. Jivan Mukta can sit in yoga or enjoy something. His inner state is not affected. He is always in Sat Sthiti. That is the Sahaja Samadhi, that's the natural state. That's the primordial state. It does not matter what you do because there's no doer. It does not matter what you enjoy because there's no enjoyer. There's only the pure awareness, Brahman, absolute reality, shining through that the divine body. That was what Ramana Shivoham was. That is the state of Manonasha. Till Manonasha happens, the mind will be still active, speaking, craving. Sometimes it craves for the worldly objects, sometimes it craves for freedom, enlightenment, liberation. The craving is common. I want something, I want something. I want something in the world is called samsara. I want some happiness in the world called yoga. Or I want happiness, my inner self is called yoga. I want liberation from moksha. This craving doesn't drop. The craving doesn't drop in Manonasha. That is symbol, that is the indication of Manonasha. So, that's the indication of Manolaya. Manolaya is craving continues. Manonasha is everything must be stand still, established in the pure stillness. So, as long as the mind is active, there's a state of yoga, union. Where there's yoga, there's yoga. Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana, kriya yoga. Many yogas are there. Yoga means union can happen. Union can happen only when there is separation. As long as I have a sense of separation, I'm striving for union. Once the union happens, or union is recognized, there's no more striving. That's the Sahaja Sthiti, Manonasha. That yoga, Bhagavan tells in a beautiful way. Manolaya means temporary silence in the mind. Mind becomes silent momentarily. It happens to all of us in deep sleep. It happens to all of us in the meditation. Mind becomes still. Then you will wake up and say, I don't know what happened. Okay? So now, many people have a wrong concept of meditation and samadhi. That comes from the background of yoga. Yoga, chittavritti nirodha. Stopping of the thoughts is yoga. But the stopping of the thoughts is temporary. The thoughts, root thought is removed. Manonasha has happened. Any stopping of thoughts is like pressing a spring. You hold the spring, the moment you give freedom, it will jump again. The mind will sprout back. In deep sleep and in samadhi, your mind enters into a state of temporary stillness. Bhagavan says, we have to work towards, or you have to sit in Jagrata Sushupti. That means a waking sleep. Sleeping sleep is not okay. Nirvikalpa sleep, Nirvikalpa Samadhi is also late sleep. The mind has become silent, momentary. Of course, there's a difference between sleep and Samadhi. In sleep, the mind is merged temporarily in the reality, but with ignorance. In Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the mind is merged with the reality, with light, with this Jnana. But both will come up. The Nirvikalpa Samadhi or sleep are temporary states. Definitely, Nirvikalpa Samadhi and sleep gives is the state of bliss, Ananda. But the freedom, Atmananda, Brahmananda, is realized only Manonasha happens. Till that point of time, say Samadhi Sukha, temporary. And that is Sahaja Samadhi, being fully established in the Brahmic state. Advaita, that is state of Jivan Mukta. Yoga is a temporary state. Ramana Shivoham, with out of compassion for all people, he gives the various practices depending on which seeker is where. Many people are not still qualified for self-enquiry. So Ramana Shivoham in Upadesha Sara, he starts giving Karturatmaya, Rapyate Karma Kimparam, Karma Dacharam, Ishwarantikam, Nechayakram, Chitta Shodakam, Mukti Sadhakam. We are engaged in various types of karma activity in the world. The nature of the world is I have to engage in an activity and get the result. Phala will come at the end of my activity. If I have to construct a house, I have to work for that. Get money, get bricks, and construct a house. The phala will come. I can stay in the house afterwards. There's a gap between the activity and the phala. And why does the phala come? Karturatmaya. Bless the Ishvara's will, karma phala. Karma kimparam, karma tajjanam, karma ijjada. Inert. Because it's happening through inert body, inert mind, inert body mind complex. Get out of karma. Ishvara-arpitam, nechayakritam. Do selfless service. Chitta shodakam, mukti sadhakam. Bhagavan gives first step. Service to purify chitta, mind. Karya uttamam. The work is three. Physical, vak, verbal, mental. What is the physical work? Service. Verbal is chanting. Mental is dhyana. So in that way, Bhagavan takes us from karma yoga to japa yoga and dhyana. He says, in the order of priority, from physical to mental to verbal to mental, there's a higher order priority because we are going from grosser to subtle. You are going more and more closer to self. From grossest level, you are moving towards the self, subtler, because self is the subtler than subtlest. So physical work is gross, verbal is less gross, and mental is less gross. From grosser to subtle, you have to move. Kaya varmana, kaya uttamam. Pujanam japachintanam. The physically you can do puja, verbally you can do japa, then mentally you can do chintana. The highest form of jnana is soham. I am he. So the I am he is also called upasana because I am not realized he. I am not realized the self. I am not realized the touch. I am holding on to a thought. I am me. I am brahmasutras thought. Still, there is a gap. So that time, what happens is entering the samadhi states. Samadhi states are very useful. It helps you to purify chitta shakti. But finally, we have to inquire, who am I? And that inquiry leads us to the establishing truth. Even Soham Dhyana, which is non-dual Dhyana, there's no duality. I and he are one. But I and he is there. That oneness, you enter into a state of oneness in the state of nirvikalpa. But it's again temporary. Again, come back. That's why it's called Keva Nirvikalpa. Sahaja Samadhi happens when I inquire, who am I? Who is that I? Whenever I think of I was born, I grew up, I became old. This I which is unchanging. The body is changing, the mind is changing, intellect is changing, but unchanging I is there in the background. What is that unchanging I? The changing I is related to body, mind, and intellect, related to ego. The unchanging part of the I is pointed to the self. Praise that unchanging I, and you will get into a state of, not get into a state, you recognize the true nature, which is actually what we call as Sat, reality, which is unchanging. So unchanging reality is not a thought, but thought is pointed to that. Do the self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is separation of non-self from the self. Nitya, Anitya. Atma, Anatma. Move towards the sphere from the sea. And this discrimination, with this discrimination, I realize the true self is the sphere, the Sakshi, the Atma. How do you do this? Nan, Nanimbudu, Nananda, Ideha, Manabuddhi, Nananda, Satidandatma, Shivananani, Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am pure consciousness. Now here the challenge is, the intellect cannot discover the self. The intellect is put in discrimination, saying, not this, not this, not this. Nay. But finally, when everything is not this, I'm not the body, mind, intellect, or my memory, then what remains is the one who is rejecting it. That's the intellect. The intellect has come from Sattva Guna. So Sattva Guna, you have to recognize, I cannot negate myself. That is Sat, which is unconditional, the primordial nature. So intellect cannot recognize self. Intellect is one with the self, as Sattva, as Sat. So that is the inquiry into who am I. Through inquiry into who am I, abide in the self, abide in the heart. That's stillness. That's bliss. That is realization. Ramana Shivoham says, this is called tapas. Tapas means you have a concept that you have to grow your beard or go to some places, do some physical activity. Tapas is getting at the root of I thought. We are understanding that for realizing self, you are being a monk. The monk is a dress sannyasa. The real sannyasa is dropping the sense of I thought, the ego. Because that's the root of everything. You will leave a family or house or surroundings, that I remains. When the ego is dropped, that's called sannyasa. When the Soham Dhyana, you become one with Bhagavan, that's called bhakti. In that way, Bhagavan Ramana Shivoham is the secret of karma yoga, bhakti yoga, kriya yoga, and finally Gnana yoga. Gnana yoga is nothing but inquiry into the nature of self and dropping it. Now, all the concepts of bhakti yoga, kriya yoga, Gnana yoga, which people follow in the world, they are based on outer reality, based on your circumstance. Whereas Ramana Maharshi focuses on the core problem, which is the inner self, innermost reality. We don't have this word self. We are this self. Always we abide in self. But our mind is outwards, focused on outwards. Our samskaras or vasanas are driving us outwards. It is like digging a well. When you dig a well, you are removing mud. Water is there already. Similarly, entire process of yoga sadhana or Atma Vichara is to dig and throw the mud of samskara, vasana, impressions, which are activated from many lifetimes. The self is already there, shining deep inside. That Bhagavan, Ramana Maharshi, is our inner self. We'll sit silently for a few minutes. Asatoma, Satyamaya, Tamasoma, Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma, Amritam Gamaya, Om Shanti, 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 Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purna, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Nan, Nanemburu, Nanala, Ideha, Manabuddhi, Nanala, Satchidanandatma, Shivananani, Shivoham, 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 Atmadarshanam, Brahmadarshanam, Brahmadarshanam, Satyadarshanam, Antarjyoti, Bahirjyoti, प्रत्यज्योति परात्परा ज्योतिरेव ज्योति स्वयं ज्योति आत्मज्योति शिवोऽस्म्यहं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम नमो भगवते श्री रमणाय. With that, I conclude today's session. I am very thankful to Madam Chara and members of Ramana Center to give me an opportunity to speak here about teachings of Atma. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for taking us through the concepts, both temporary and eternal, monogamia and monogamia, and how holistically the state which is beyond both, and that is which is affirmed, which is sacred and that. Nature is only a concept of people like us and not rooted in simplicity. Beautiful illustration of what the teachings before the phenomenon is speaking about. To me, it is not coincidental, it is only natural that the right of self-foundation has to cross path, meet and merge in the right of the self and the Ramana. Thank you so much, sir. And I request the Shanta to kindly hand over a token, a gift to Shri Prabhuji.
Thank you.